walking up, where am I stopping? Third pew?
Yeah, third pew, right in the middle.
Okay. Yo, what's up? It's your favorite neighborhood historian, Dilla, and this is You Don't Know Shy. Today's episode is going to feature someone who falls in line with the rich history of Chicago activism and activists.
Living in Chicago, God is in your favor. I'ma hold it down like call me an anchor. Think about my problems, deal with it later. Focus on my family and stack up all this paper. I am an emperor, God in the making. Every time I wake up, it's a celebration. Every time I wake up, it's a started from the bottom, y'all. Started from the
Chicago historian Dilla is a fascinating blend of modern historian and cultural worker. Dilla has become a Chicago social media sensation by going viral on TikTok. His 60-second history videos on everything Chicago have been viewed over 20 million times. Dilla has been featured on all manner of Chicago media and has also appeared nationally on both The Today Show and The Kelly Clarkson Show. As a proud resident of the South Side, Dilla lives by the saying that everything dope about America comes from Chicago.
Born and raised in Chicago, Father Michael Pfleger has served as pastor of St. Sabina Church in the Auburn Gresham neighborhood since 1981. Father Pfleger is known for his outspoken advocacy on issues of social awareness, including gun violence, poverty, and racial justice.
There's whole communities that look like third world countries. It's a war zone.
He doesn't shy away from directly engaging with those impacted by the issues he addresses. This includes spending time in marginalized communities, building relationships with individuals facing challenges, and working alongside them to find solutions. Father Pfleger is a respected figure in the Chicago community and a powerful voice for social change. Oh man, Father Mike, how are you?
I'm all right, man. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, man. Welcome to St. Sabina.
You know, I tell people, if you've been in Auburn Gresham, so the world says Pastor Pfleger, but if you grew up in Auburn Gresham, then that's Father Mike,
Father
right?
Mike.
Thank you for taking time and having us in this beautiful space. We certainly appreciate you. This show is all about like Chicago and people that would make Chicago, Chicago, and it's hard to have that conversation without you.
St. Sabina, two interesting things about it. It started in 1916 in the storefront on Racine. Now many Catholic churches started a store. It was a candy store, but they covered the candy up on Sunday mornings. The other thing is, this is where the St. Patrick's Day parade of the city of Chicago began. You used to have church here, then they'd have the parade down 79th Street to Halsted and down Halsted. And when it became so big and so major, Old Man Daly moved it downtown. But years later, they started up the South Side Irish Parade to remind people it started on the South Side. So that's the one in Beverly is to remind people that it started here at St. Sabina.
I tell people all the time, you grow up in this area, it's for lack of a better term, it's very leave it to beaver. You know, the neighbors let you borrow the bike and borrow sugar. And then one day, this black preacher from the South comes over and it changes how you view about that space, right?
Changed my whole life.
Dr. King was here in Chicago because he played a vital part in this thing called the Chicago Freedom Campaign. He was here at the request of a gentleman by the name of Al Raby, who was an activist and a teacher. And they were here to try to fight against Chicago segregation, but not just the segregated neighborhoods of Chicago. They were here to fight against the unfair treatment of African Americans as it related to finding houses or buying property and real estate. He had already done the I Have a Dream speech in 1963. He had already won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964. When Dr. King came to Chicago, he was already a rock star. He moved to Chicago during the winter of 1965/1966. Dr. King could have lived anywhere in the city of Chicago, but he wanted to live amongst the people to feel their struggles, so he ended up moving into a dilapidated apartment on 15th and Hamlin on the west side of Chicago in a neighborhood that we refer to as North Lawndale. So while here in Chicago, Dr. King did what he always does. He led protests, he had sit-ins, he helped people organize. So he had a march in Bridgeport, he had a march downtown, he had a rally at Soldier Field. He visited African Americans at the Stateway Gardens and the Robert Taylor housing projects and even on 16th Street. But he decided to march through a neighborhood in Chicago that we call Chicago Lawn. He picked that neighborhood because there were a lot of reports of African Americans applying for apartments and applying to buy houses in that neighborhood, but they were routinely discriminated against. If the place had all the vacancy signs in the world, if a black person applied, they'd be told that there were no vacancies. If a black doctor and lawyer like the Cosbys applied for a mortgage to buy a house in Chicago Lawn, they were told they did not qualify or the house was no longer for sale. So he decided to march through that neighborhood to kind of put a spotlight on the racism that was found during that time in the Chicago Lawn neighborhood.
I grew up not even 10 minutes from here on 81st and Tallman. And I kept hearing Dr. King talked about in such negative ways. And so I asked my mother one day, I said, tell me about this guy, Dr. King. And all she said was, he's a good man.
And it was in Marquette Park that Dr. King discovered that Chicago was just as, if not more, racist than some of the places that he had marched through in the South.
We walked over to try to find where Dr. King was. And I didn't even know it that when he first came in off of Kedzie there at 67th, as where right now where the basketball court is, where he got hit with a rock.
It actually bust his head, right, caused him to bleed. And it was after that march that Dr. King uttered the words that he had seen racism in its darkest forms in the South, but those instances were nothing compared to what he saw in Marquette Park that day.
But what's interesting to me before we ever got to where Dr. King was walking is I saw people I know, people that went to my church, brothers and sisters of some of my friends. It was frightening. I had never experienced hate like that anywhere. But he never, ever responded to any of the hate that was coming at him. If I said, I want to know more about this man, because either he's crazy or he got some kind of strength that I want to know about.
You know, hearing that, I think we need to go to the spot where it all started. Let's go to Marquette Park.
Let's go.
All right.
Now, do we drive over or you want me to ride with you? Would you tell me what you want?
I prefer to get in his car. My car kind of smells like a certain substance. I
can get a contact. Let's go in your car. I'll meet you down the lobby. Okay.
Here in Illinois, recreational marijuana is totally legal. And so every now and again, certain individuals, maybe me, maybe not me, will delve into the devil's lettuce. But having said all that, there's no way that Father Michael Pfleger is getting ready to get into my car and smell the sticky icky. It'll ruin our whole relationship, and so we're gonna ride with him.
Did you write that in the script?
But I grew up on 81st and Troop.
Oh my God, yeah.
My dad was a cop over here. His name was Lamar Thomas.
Really?
He was vice president of the African American Police.
Yeah, the two brothers that founded the African American
Sappho and Renault Robinson.
Renault Robinson. We did Renault's funeral at St. Sabina.
Renault Robinson saw a black man getting beat up by cops. And he knew the black man hadn't done nothing.
Right.
And he jumps out, and not helping the cops, but to defuse it, right? And as punishment, they assigned him to an alley for like 3 days, and that was his shift.
Yeah.
But the rookie officer that was with him was my old man.
Really?
Yeah, and I remember asking my old man later on in life, like I know he was pissed off, right? He said, man, they pay the same whether or not I'm chasing criminals or walking out. We didn't care. We ate chicken. We talked stuff. He laughed at that the whole time. But yeah, he got assigned one alley. He had to walk the alley
had to
like
walk up and down. I remember asking him one time about how he felt about that, and he made the same comment. And then he said to me, he said, I tell you what though, it was the safest damn alley in the city of Chicago.
Digifay is a film production company based in Chicago.
We're good on audio for this next segment.
We might use this for some more ambient lighting.
The biggest strengths of our team as a whole is just the energy that we bring to every project.
1, 2, 3, and hold it.
You're coming into this space with a bunch of creatives. You fully trust what everybody knows, that they're full of that knowledge and they're capable of what they're doing in their role.
I love filmmaking because there's so many different possibilities. Figuring that out is the fun part.
I think it's so important to have Black storytellers to make sure that we are able to pick up the camera and document the things that we feel are important, not just for us, but for the whole country and the whole world.
Digifay, bringing stories to life one frame at a time.
Previously on You Don't Know Shy.
There's no way that Father Michael Pfleger is getting ready to get into my car and smell the sticky icky. It'll ruin our whole relationship, and so we're gonna ride with him. This structure is when Chicago's at its best because it was a Muslim organization that thought we should place this monument here, Inner City Muslim Action Network. And since then, right, there's donations from Jewish organizations, Catholic organizations, because King kind of transcends all these things, these names, these words.
Bigger than all that, and I don't care who you are, if you know anything about him at all, you can not like him, but you got to respect him.
Yeah. I would say you certainly are a nonviolent advocate. A lot of folks don't know if you want to buy a gun in Chicago, you ain't gonna do it in Chicago, right? No.
Right,
a lot of that got to do with the activism of getting the gun stores out of Chicago and you know, try really hard to get them out of the Chicago proper area in the suburbs, right?
Yeah, and then trying to get the gun stores, you know, to do the right thing, who were all selling under the table and selling it to young kids. Because it was all about business, all about money. They didn't care how the kids were using it. You know, the gun industry is one of the most powerful lobbyists in this country. And they were making their money off of, you know, the blood that goes on in our communities. And we just wanted to call it out. You know, the NRA and the rest, they ought not to be lining their pockets with money. So we fought them hard, and we still fight them.
The list of activists out of Chicago is like the who's who of activism, right? I mean, you can go all the way back to Jane Addams. I would refer to her as an activist, right? She had this thing called the Jane Addams Hull House, and that's where European migrants were able to find a place to stay, particularly widowed and single mothers and young ladies who are discriminated against in the workplace. We also have Ida B. Wells Barnett, who's the first pioneering data journalist to do data point journalism on lynchings that took place in the South. She moved to Chicago after the World's Fair in 1893. I mean, Ida B. Wells is a person we could be here talking about forever.
With no education, you have neo-colonialism instead of colonialism.
We can't forget about the amazing Brother Chairman Fred Hampton. I mean, you have to be a special kind of activist to have the United States government afraid of you when you're a 20-year-old and ends up being assassinated by the Chicago Police Department and the FBI. And it's because of him that we got an organization called the Young Lords, right? Jose Jimenez was able to turn a street gang in Humboldt Park into this fighting activist group of young Puerto Ricans who made sure that the Puerto Ricans were not pushed out of Humboldt Park. Can't forget about the awesome Mr. Keep Hope Alive himself, Jesse Jackson.
But I am somebody.
One of the first black men to really give it a shot at running for president of the United States. We got people like Jamal Cole today that's doing this amazing organization called My Block, My Hood, My City. And it's all about entrenching people in their neighborhoods to fight for their neighborhoods. I mean, Chicago really does push activism forward.
Coming up on You Don't Know Shy.
I went to Calumet High School. This is shamefully one of the many closed down schools that can be found all across Chicago. Calumet High School. This is shamefully one of the many closed down schools that can be found all across Chicago. And it's really, really sad that this building gets closed because for a long time, Calumet was like one of the anchoring schools for the Auburn Gresham neighborhood. I mean, you had luminaries like Marsha Warfield and Shaka Khan and Kirby Puckett, Congressman Monique Davis. Even the dude that wrote the jingle for the Oscar Mayer Wiener commercial went to school here. It really sucks that this school is closed down. I have amazing, fond memories, not just about the staff and the other students, but just walking to school. We all know about Rahm Emanuel closing 52 schools in one school year and that detrimental effect. The why is really hard to answer. If you ask them why, they'll say that the schools were underused or it was pulling too much resources from the schools that have more students there. We have since learned, though, that closing these neighborhood schools was a big mistake. When you remove neighborhood schools from neighborhoods, now you have these big empty shells sitting in the neighborhood, as in the case with the school I went to, Calumet High School. The school closed, then it became a charter school for a couple years. Then after that, the charter school left. And then they tried to make it a shelter for the houseless during COVID. And then after that, it's just been sitting here vacant for 4 years or so. And it's really, really tragic. I mean, look at this. Somebody done wrote or spray painted the N-word with the hard R, which makes it even extra whack. Really want to call us the N-word? You've already done so by constantly closing down all the schools in black and brown spaces.
Digifay is a film production company based in Chicago.
We're good on audio for this next segment.
We might use this for some more ambient lighting.
The biggest strengths of our team as a whole is just the energy that we bring to every project.
1, 2, 3, and hold it.
You're coming into this space with a bunch of creatives. You fully trust what everybody knows, that they're full of that knowledge and they're capable of what they're doing in their role.
I love filmmaking because there's so many different possibilities. Figuring that out is the fun part.
I think it's so important to have Black storytellers to make sure that we are able to pick up the camera and document the things that we feel are important, not just for us, but for the whole country and the whole world.
Digifay, bringing stories to life one frame at a time.
Bless us, whole time it's corporate.
It's your main man, Spice Adams.
This is Scoop Jackson.
My name is Mike Pfleger.
My name is Ernie Wong. Tony Baker here in Chicago.
¿Qué tal? It's Mike Moreno aquí en La Vita.
I'm Tonika Johnson, and I'm from Inglewood.
And y'all definitely tuned in
to You Don't Know Shy.
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 This is You Don't Know Shy.
Oh God.
You Don't Know Shy promo 4A Take 1 Mark.
Yo, Dilla, when'd you get on the block?
Dilla, what are you doing, man, in Logan Square?
Everything dope about America comes from Chicago, greatest city on earth.
Living in Chicago, God is in your favor. I'ma hold it down like call me an anchor. Think about my problems, deal with it later. Focus on my family and stack up all this paper.
Digifay is a film production company based in Chicago.
We're good on audio for this next segment.
We might use this for some more ambient lighting.
The biggest strengths of our team as a whole is just the energy that we bring to every project.
1, 2, 3, and hold it.
You're coming into this space with a bunch of creatives. You fully trust what everybody knows, that they're full of that knowledge and they're capable of what they're doing in their role.
I love filmmaking because there's so many different possibilities. Figuring that out is the fun part.
I think it's so important to have Black storytellers to make sure that we are able to pick up the camera and document the things that we feel are important, not just for us, but for the whole country and the whole world.
Digifay, bringing stories to life one frame at a time.
We're here at a place that's special to us both. This is the beautiful Auburn Park. It's this is what gives Auburn Gresham its name. So obviously I'm biased, but Auburn Gresham neighborhood is probably my favorite neighborhood in Chicago, and that's because I'm from there and I currently live there. It finds its history because of two distinct things that happened. One, the Auburn development. Auburn Park is this space that has what best can be described as a lagoon that has water from Chicago's 1800s. And it was built around these huge Victorian houses. Also, St. George's Hospital was over there. So that's where Auburn gets its name from, and that's really what starts to grow the neighborhood. What I love about this place is that they leave the swamp water and kind of just build around it. And so what you're basically looking at is the original Chicago, right? For a little while, Auburn Gresham was called South Inglewood, and that's because it's the neighborhood directly south of Inglewood. And then on 87th Street, they opened a train line for the Illinois Central Railroad, and that stop was called Gresham. It was named after Walter Gresham, who was a judge and a Civil War veteran who has some history with Illinois. Auburn Gresham sits in a site that has a number of different gangs and gang territories. And what I like to tell people is that when individuals are kept out of the proper way to make economics in the city, then they're gonna dabble outside the lines.
When you abandon the communities of resources and opportunities and businesses that will pull out, what you do is you create that vacuum. And when you look at this, there's 17 other places where there's most violence in the city of Chicago. You also see the same places where there's less businesses, where there's some poorer schools, where there's less opportunities, less economic development, less opportunities for jobs. I had 3 adopted kids. If I had to feed my kids and I couldn't get a job, I'm gonna find a way to feed my kids. My youngest son, who was just about to turn 18, Saturday afternoon, I'm just finished a wedding actually, and somebody runs in and says, Jarvis just got shot. So I ran to the church, ran up to him, he's still laying on the corner, blood's coming out of his neck where he hit the bullet. He and 2 of his friends were sitting on the corner, standing on the corner, eating some chips. And a group that was shooting back at another group, crossing 79th Street, shooting back at him, and he catches a bullet. And unfortunately, he passed Monday morning because it hit a main artery. To me, Dilla, there's nothing more evil than seeing a child in a casket. As a pastor, we can't keep, preaching about our kids all have a purpose, all have a destiny, all have a plan from God, and then not fight the things that are keeping them from reaching that destiny, and violence is one of them. Auburn Gresham and places like Auburn Lake, these are jewels that have been overlooked.
Yeah.
But this community has some of the richest potential, the bungalow housing.
I was just going to say, you got these 100-year-old houses that are going to be here another 100 years.
Yeah.
Like you can't pay to get them made. The 2 flats, right, that offer you the opportunity to live on the first floor and get a tenant and, just have a family building so that you guys can support each other. And that's what they had in mind when they built this community. And perhaps they didn't have in mind that there'd be people of color here. Right. But now that we're here, that same original vision for
the ingredients of this neighborhood can make the most successful neighborhood anywhere.
Yeah, I agree.
And we just gotta hang in and work to make it be that. But okay, you look at places like this and you say, wow, why wouldn't I want to live here?
This is the first time I ever got caught ditching school with a young lady that shall remain nameless. My old man told my mother, I bet I know where I could find him. And we was sitting over here parked, and I didn't ditch school over here anymore. Yo, you already know what it is. Your favorite neighborhood historian, Dilla. I want to thank today's guest, Father Michael Pfleger, the pastor of St. Sabina. Not just thanking him for being in the show, but thanking him for all he does for Chicago. But remember this, everything dope about America comes from Chicago. Greatest city on earth.
I gotta make it just for my kids and for their kids' kids. That's wealth years and years. Promise my brother soon as he out and finished his bid, we finna do it bigger than anybody ever did. The odds is real big, jobs that's real big. Satan trying a little, my God is real big. Stayed up on the ground and the cards is real big. I gotta do it big, the only way that I can live. And I promise I'm trying to. Before you count me out, homie, let me remind you. They was blocking the shine, now I think it's my time to. Counting them dollar signs like lights, they'll blind you. Let me rewind to back when I was broke and I couldn't acquire 2 cents. And now I got 2 rents. They was sleeping on me, homie, must have got too big. Call my phone, I be like, who this? Damn right, hell yeah, I'm brand new. Smell like can too. I'm fresh forever like canned food. Try and tell me what I can't do. I wanna see the world, my vision on Shamu. That mean I got goals that's real big, foes that's real big. Y'all offer too little, sorry, my soul is real big. Coming into the ring with blows that's real big. I gotta do it big, that's the only way I can live.